The Soccer Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN and get yourself a $25 deposit bonus.
Welcome along to the San Mamés, the 2025 Europa League Final in Bilbao. Harry Maguire quickly with Solanke with him, turns this one into the path of Brennan Johnson. Oh, and Brennan Johnson's in the penalty area, looks to pull it back in the penalty area. Shot's going to come in, brilliant block by Harry Maguire. Another long ball into the box. Patrick Dorgu's got there, pulls it back across. It's turned out for a corner. United captain whips in the corner. It's going to come underneath the crossbar. Goalkeeper gets there. Harry Maguire's going to bring it down. Ahmad's going to take a touch. He's going to get a ball across. Oh, it's flashed wide to Ahmad. Bruno Fernandes occupying the 10. Ahmad chasing into the penalty area one way, then the other. Gets the cross in, and it's turned away by Spurs, but it was brilliant from Ahmad. Lovely dancing feet from the little Ivorian. To the left side to Papsar, who swings across in. Near post. Oh, it's gone in, has it? It has. And Spurs have opened the scoring just before half-time.
It's such a soft goal. He doesn't even make any contact. It actually goes in off Luke Shaw's arm.
Yes, Fernandes is going to give this back to Mazraoui. Lovely pass from Bruno Fernandes. Finds Ahmad in the penalty area. Fixing the cross. Rasmus Højlund trying to get on the end of it. Fernandes whips it in. Near post. Turned towards goal by Lenny Yoro. Cleared away. He met it at the near post.
Okay.
Bruno Fernandes, ball into the penalty area. Too deep. Oh, it bounces off Vicario. Header comes in. Cleared off the line by Van de Ven. Mazraoui with the cross. Header comes in. Oh, it's flashed wide. Garnacho's in the box. Gets the shot away. That's a big save. Down sharply to his left-hand side from Vicario. The delivery. Into the box. Heads go up. Cleared away. Garnacho. Hook forwards. Side netting. And Manchester United's night comes to a close. The full-time whistle goes. Manchester United have been beaten in Bilbao.
Ruben Amorim is so honest in his press conferences to a point of fault, actually. And how can we sit here and say to a manager, don't be as honest as what you are being? Because to be fair, I've interviewed him. I think he's fantastic, and I think he basically says what we're all probably thinking. They're the worst club side in history. There's problems at the club. However, don't offer yourself up. Don't offer yourself up ever. Ruben, don't do that. I'm talking as a 50-year-old person here who's at times thought that's the right thing to do. He's very young. He's saying the admirable thing. You know, I once watched Kevin Keegan in an England dressing room talk with real emotion at the end of a game about how I've taken it as far as I can, and he handed his notes in. But he'd had 2.5 years in the job. He'd had a couple of years in the job. Ruben, you've been there 6 months.
What does that tell you?
Don't offer yourself up. Just tell us how you're going to essentially drive a bus through that dressing room and what you're going to do to fix it. That's all you need to do. Focus on that. They've said that you're going to stay at the start of next season. The fans want you to stay. I include myself in that as well. I'm a fan. I want him to stay at the club. I want them to support him. I want them to give him a chance. Stop offering yourself up. Stop doing the honourable thing. The reasons that you're losing and the reasons that ultimately this club is failing at this moment in time is a series of things that not all are down to you. You didn't sign any of those players apart from Dorgu. You didn't sign any of those players. None of them are yours. If in a year and a half or in a year's time we're talking about a couple of transfer windows and you've made some significant changes to that squad and they're starting to become your team and we're still playing the same way, obviously he knows then at that point he's going to be in trouble. But he didn't want to take this job, Rebecca. He didn't want to take this job partway through a season. And what happens when you're a young person sometimes, you say, no, I'd rather come at the end of the season. But you take a job in your life sometimes because you get swayed into it and you think you're going to miss the opportunity, or you're doing it for a different reason, or you just end up folding and basically sort of giving in and saying, right, I'll do it. No, we need you now, or else it won't be there at the end of the season. And you'll be looking at it and think, I wish I just said no. That's what he'll be thinking. But now it's not a time for him to offer himself up. Now is a time, the club are supporting him. They're definitely going to put him in place at the start of the season. Just tell us how you're going to get it right. And I want to point towards Luke Shaw's interview, because I thought that was equally as telling, where he talked about we've got to look ourselves in the mirror and decide whether we're good enough to play for Manchester United. One, Luke, it's not your job to determine that. A player at Manchester United should have no control as to whether they're there or not. The manager of the football club decides whether you're good enough to play in that football team. He will determine that. And when the players are starting to come out and question publicly whether they're good enough to play for the club, you know how bad it is internally there. You imagine what they're saying to each other inside. I have this thing about negativity spiral. In my businesses, in my life, if I hear the energy sapping negativity spiral starting to move, whereby you can feel people are starting to have an influence over the others, and Luke's an experienced player now, honestly, I think you've got to wipe it out. You've got to wipe out every single player in that dressing room who doesn't believe that they have got total and utter confidence to play for that football club. And there are some players on that pitch and some players on the bench who I think can still do a good job for Manchester United. I don't believe it's a case of get rid of them all. I think there's some talent in there. I believe that. And this idea that they don't care, I'll repeat what I've said many, many times again, never ever think that of football players. Right? No, if you said to a Manchester United player this morning, just ask the logical question. That is someone's 22, 23-year-old son that played out there in a red shirt last night, or 25-year-old son. Right? And ask that question. Do they want to be criticised this morning? Do they want to be walking into Old Trafford in front of 75,000 on Sunday? And that is a hell of a game they've got to go and play on Sunday, by the way. And do they want to be actually walking out there as losers with a runners-up medal behind them? Do they want to lose football matches? Do they want to be criticised on social media? The answer is no.
So that's the post-mortem from Gary Neville off the back of Man United losing the Europa League final. Do I agree with all of that? Absolutely not. I, in no way, shape or form, have his level of confidence, and I'm not as assured as he is about Ruben Amorim carrying on as the manager. He's talked about himself there. He's also talked about Ruben having the support of the other supporters. I'm not seeing that, and I certainly don't feel that way myself. Is it a good thing to sack a manager after this very small period of time that he's had? No. Is it true that he did want the job this summer? Yes. But the fact that we've seen him try to do this job, the fact that we've seen him almost break on a week-to-week basis as things have progressed, he's progressively got more and more and more dishevelled and looking like he doesn't have the answers and looking like the job is too big for him. Is it a blessing that this was a throwaway season and we can reset with someone else rather than giving more money and more trust, putting more trust into someone who's shown in this small period that he probably cannot do the job? Gary Neville's talking about a couple of transfer windows. Well, where will we be then? I think we'll be in a worse position than ever because this isn't your normal type of manager that we're giving money to like we've had in the past. We're talking about wholesale changes. We're talking about losing massive assets like Bruno Fernandes is a different one to Garnacho because Bruno Fernandes is about the money. It's about cashing in on a player hitting 30 and we're getting double the value if we do end up getting £100 million for him. I think at his age, I think 50 million is a fair price. Al Hilal are one of the rare clubs who are going to match his wages. So I think even though he's our best player, he is replaceable. With the way Manchester United are, you can basically sell the entire squad and just rebuild, and you can't be in a worse position. So I think that's good money for Bruno. Garnacho's a different situation. For me, I do think he's a maverick. I do think he's a game changer. I do think he's potentially world-class. I think taking 50, 60 million for him isn't enough. I think he can go and shine elsewhere, depending on the club he goes to. If he goes to a club where he can start, which would probably be a club still in the Europa League or not one, or a team that regularly qualifies for the Champions League, probably, but not someone expected to win it. If he goes to that type of club, if he makes a move similar to what Anthony has, where Anthony is not only a starter for Real Betis, but he's a key player, Garnacho can progress. He can actually hit that world-class level, and then the big move to a Real Madrid can come, or even a Chelsea. If he goes immediately to Real Madrid or Chelsea from Manchester United, Garnacho's career will peter out. And this will look like Man United have made a good decision when it will really just be about Garnacho not getting the minutes and not going to the right club to develop. But if Alejandro Garnacho goes somewhere where he can get those minutes, even if Garnacho goes to somewhere like a Tottenham who just beat us, if he goes there, I think he's head and shoulders above Brendan Johnson. They do need a replacement for Song. If Garnacho was to stay in England and go to Tottenham, Man United would regret that decision because he would absolutely tear it up as a Tottenham player. And I think he would tear it up at somewhere like AC Milan or at a Roma, a club like that. But I don't think they have the finances to get a Garnacho. You probably would be looking at the likes of a Real Madrid, where Garnacho would be an impact player, would be a squad player, would be used the same way that he's been used for a lot of his tenure at Manchester United. But should he be a Manchester United starter in a different system? In a 4-3-3 system that suits Garnacho, suits Amad, and suits Kobe Mainoo, three of the rare plus points coming out of Manchester United in recent years. This manager doesn't have room for any of them in this system. He's married to a system. It doesn't work. He's been one-dimensional since he's come in. He's been stubborn, sometimes about the right things when it comes to the likes of Marcus Rashford, but when it comes to on the pitch, he has been completely wrong, and yet we are going to throw money at him. We are going to gamble. And this is the biggest gamble for Manchester United so far, with a club who have constantly gambled since Sir Alex Ferguson, and they have lost massively. They are down massively with the gambles that they've taken. And now at this point, we are going to take our biggest one. Not only are we going to gamble on a manager, but we are going to gamble on backing a system that has failed since he's come in. He's failed to implement it successfully. I understand it's not his players, but we are talking about wholesale changes. We are talking about selling on assets. We are talking about a few of the positives at Manchester United in the last 3 years, other than winning those couple of trophies, yes. But selling Amad or not giving Amad a place in the team, selling Garnacho, and the regression, the clear regression of Kobe Mainoo, a key player last season, someone who had a massive impact, someone who helped us win the FA Cup last year against Man City with a man-of-the-match performance, who worked his way into the England squad, who fucking played in a European Championship final. We're talking about him, not having room for him in this shitty system that's guided us to 17th position. This manager's had time. He's had time to experiment. He's had time to play different formations. He's had time to maybe win Manchester United a trophy by playing the way that Ange Postecoglou played on Wednesday. The irony is the difference between the two managers. We had two stubborn bastards coming up against each other who would not change his system throughout the season. We had Ange with his stupid high line. Even when he lost Mickey van der Ven and Romero, who were tailor-made to the system, he continued to play it with Spurs youngsters and destroyed their confidence as Spurs would lose week after week, concede goal after goal after goal. He was stubborn to the detriment of the club. Ruben Amorim has been stubborn to the detriment of the club. He's come in and has played this system. We have not played and we have not set up against the individual opponents that we've played against, whether it be in the Premier League where you can give them a pass because we weren't going to do anything in the league. He's allowed us to go out of the Carabao Cup, out of the FA Cup, and he's come in with the same stubborn bullshit tactics where he fucking played Mason Mount, who belongs nowhere near a football pitch for Manchester United. He belongs nowhere near a Man United starting lineup. He played Mason Mount because Mason Mount fits in better to a stupid, shitty, failing system that only worked at Sporting Lisbon, and Sporting Lisbon is not Manchester United, and the Portuguese league is not the EPL. But he continued to do it whilst Ange Postecoglou, he had the brains, he had the common sense. He realised that he needed to win that cup final, and he played to win a cup. He didn't play to play a football match. He didn't play to have a DVD that Tottenham fans could watch back. They don't even have a goal that they can watch back with any pride. They just got the job done. They got that trophy, the first one since 2008. They are now playing in the Champions League, and Ange Postecoglou has probably saved his job. And that's the difference between a manager who came into that game having won 12 out of 13 cup finals. He knows how to get over the line when it counts, even though he has made poor decisions, and it was the wrong decision to stick with that system. And he's the reason and he's to blame for why Tottenham are where they are in the table. Ange Postecoglou managed to pull it out when he needed to, whilst our manager was stubborn till the end. And when I say the end, I think it should be the end for Ruben Amorim at this point. But as Gary Neville said on that clip, it doesn't look like it's going to be. and Ruben Amorim will remain in the job for the start of next season. He's going to get money, and more significantly, there are going to be players out the door, and it would only take Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho, because if you sell Garnacho and if you sell Rashford, God, if Man United sell Garnacho and Rashford, there will be mega money and mega funds available for Manchester United in the summer. And people point to the fact that Man United are not in the Champions League and they may not be a draw. Manchester United Football Club will always be a draw. But in the past few years, it's been a draw for the wrong reasons. It should always be the allure of the club, the fact that Manchester United are massive, they have massive history, and that should draw you to the club. Sometimes that draw is too big for players, which is why we use the phrase, the shirt's too big for them. We don't mean they're wearing a shirt that's too big for them, literally. We mean that they cannot cope with the pressure of being a Manchester United player. But what I don't want to see is people coming to Manchester United and making that choice because we are overpaying wages. No more Ronaldos, no more Casemiros, no more Varans, no more Jadon Sanchos. And there's a possibility that shitbag could be coming back to the club. But there needs to be massive changes, and I would make the manager one of them, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So we're going to listen to Amorim's press conference leading into this game against Aston Villa in a moment. Before we do that, let me let you guys know that the SGPN merch store is running a promo with 20% off everything when you use the promo code DGENS. Let me also let you know that Edge Boost is the first ever bank built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. So sign up at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN, deposit $25, and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet and the promo code SGPN. Let me also tell you guys about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is going long for the NBA playoffs with their extender bonus, hop in game one, and the longer the series goes, the bigger that bonus gets. So head over to Underdog Fantasy and use the promo code SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com and the promo code SGPN.
Hi Ruben, obviously a couple of days have passed since Wednesday. What are your reflections looking back on obviously a disappointing night for football?
It was really tough. It still is really tough. I think was harsh for us to lose that game. Again, I think we were the better team. We had more chances. We suffered a goal near the half time. We try everything in the second half, but it's really hard because, like I said also before the match, that if you don't win the final, it is even harder to deal with that.
I don't think it's any surprise, people who know the club, that the aftermath has been debate around the future of players, two in particular. You said a couple of weeks ago that you want Bruno Fernandes to stay. There's more reports around Al Hilal and they want a decision from him. What is your understanding of that? And also, both Alejandro Garnacho and Bob, personally his brother, put statements on social media in the immediate aftermath of the game which they seem to suggest it was a mistake for him not to play. Are you going to speak to him? Do you have to speak to him? What is the situation?
I always speak with my players, but the focus now is the last game. I don't know what is going to happen. We have a plan. We were prepared for both situations, with Champions League, without Champions League. We have an idea what type of squad we want, but now we have to focus on the game because we still have the last game and we'll have time to address all that situations.
Ruben, morale surely at the moment is rock bottom. You seem very flat inevitably after the game. How on earth do you pick yourself up, the players up, the fans up? Because it just seems to be that this season has been one long struggle.
Yes, it's really hard. I will not try to convince you the otherwise. It was a tough season, but we had that hope that we could win something, and that could help us to finish the season in the different way. The way we need to get up is to focus on the next game, to finish in a good way, and then we'll have time. And then when you start thinking about the future, thinking about the squad, a new season is going to start, and we will start with new ambitions and try to do better.
But there's no instant fix, is there? I mean, you look at where Villa are at the moment. Villa are where you probably want to be, aren't they?
Yeah, of course, yes. They have that stability. They are used to fight for the first places. So we want to do that also. But there's a lot of things that is really good on this kind of club. But then when you are in this situation, you feel that it's going to take time. But we can improve. And
when you say time, I mean, how many windows are you looking at?
No, it's not windows, and sometimes we don't know. Things can change fast, but to reach that kind of level that we need to be as a Manchester United is going to take time. But things I cannot say how many windows, how many years we need to reach that point. But we can improve. That is clear.
First, with that in mind, Ruben, the fact that you probably need to make a lot of changes to the squad, are you looking at that challenge as something that you think you will enjoy, or are you worried about how difficult it's going to be to juggle everything?
I think this 6 months was really hard. A lot of changes, not just for me, for all the club. We did so many changes inside our club that sometimes it takes a lot of like 5 years or 3 years to change all the personnel and to change a lot of things. We changed coach in the middle of the season. The way they play, we changed. So was a really tough season. Now is that part that we need to enjoy and to focus on the future and to be positive, because we know what to do. I know how I want to play. That is clear. With all the mistakes that you guys can point to me, I know how I want to play, and that now is the excitement, the moment that we can change something.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw said after the game that players need to reflect on whether they are good enough to get Manchester United back. How many players in your squad do you believe are good enough to get Manchester United back?
Again, we have this game against Aston Villa, and we need to focus on that. This is not over. So we want to finish in a good way in front of our supporters. So that is important. The rest, we are going to assess the squad. We know what to do. I will say it again, and we'll deal with that when the season is finished. It's not finished yet.
Ruben, you famously said before you joined here that you would have preferred ultimately to join at the end of the season around this time. I'm just wondering, the past 6 months you were talking about the challenges there. Have you been able to understand the club better, understand the problems of the club, or is there a part of you that actually still kind of wishes the club maybe said, yeah, sure, come at the end of the season?
In this moment, I'm really glad that I arrived 6 months before we start a new season. But I think we are going to avoid a lot of mistakes, and would be in the next season. So I think we now is the time that we can use all that suffering to change things in the summer. And when I say in the summer, it's not just the players. There's a lot of things that we need to change in our club. So we are doing that. We did that for 6 months. We changed in every aspect of our club. So I'm really glad in this moment. We suffer a lot, but I'm really glad that I arrived 6 months because it's going to help me a lot in the next season.
Stephen. Hi Ruben. Did the Europa League final change your mind on any players when you think about that performance with a view to the summer transfer window?
No. What changed is that one less competition, that game in the middle of the week, you can manage the squad in a different way. So that rotation of the players, the depth of the squad, that changed completely. If you have 4 competitions or 3 competitions, so that changed a little bit the plan, but not the way I look to my players just by looking at the final.
So I will unpack some of that, but I don't want to waste too much time on it because I've made my position clear. Before I do so, though, let me tell you quickly, guys, that Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs, PGA, MLB, and they've just launched WNBA as well. Rhythm has amazing deals going on right now with the SGPN. You get 25% off a monthly subscription. Use the promo code SGPN25. You get 50% off an annual subscription with the promo code SGPN50. Or you can get your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com, and it's spelled RITHMM, Rhythm. Let me also tell you about the Circa Ultimate Fantasy Football giveaway. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas are giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and you'll be treated for your entire stay like VIPs, and that's a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino for your entire 12-person league. So you've got until June the 30th to get involved and win this prize. Hold your draft at a cabana at Stadium Swim with a $5,000 food and beverage credit with limo transportation to and from the airport. To enter, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa, spelled CIRCA. And finally, we are brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, including all of your games for match day 38, including Man United versus Aston Villa, and even the WWE, where you could have got down on WWE's Saturday night's main event last night. So to get involved, to sign up, head over to mybookie.ag and use our promo code, as always, SGPN, for a $1,000 deposit match up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag and the promo code SGPN. One more time, mybookie.ag and the promo code SGPN. So let's unpack some of what the manager said. And the main takeaway would be the fact that he said that it was... I'm not going to touch on the Garnacho situation. Listen, Garnacho and his brother have been moronic. They have basically negotiated their way out of the club. They knew what they did was irreversible. So by posting stuff on social media that goes against the team and against the manager, and with his moron brother continuously doing this shit and leaking stuff, you can't stay at Man United. As much as I like him, as much as I think there are signs of him being world class, he's definitely not the finished product. But I like wingers that run at you. There's not enough of those in the game. It's a shame what's being done to players like that, how they're being transformed into system players. And again, we're talking about this system. There's words that are just pissing me off in football, such as system, such as project. We're talking about these long-term projects, this Man United project, this Mikel Arteta project at Arsenal. These teams need to win. You don't have time to throw away seasons and say that it's all part of the plan, it's all part of the project. You need to win. And you can't be married to a system either. It's funny how Tottenham had a way of playing, a style of play, the Tottenham way, the Tottenham DNA. And then when they won a major trophy, the Tottenham DNA went completely out of the window and no one gives a fuck. No one's talking about it except for Arsenal and Man United fans about the way Tottenham won that final. And it was nothing like the Tottenham DNA. It was nothing like Glenn Hoddle and Paul Gascoigne and David Ginola and other flair players that you would have previously associated with Tottenham. It was ugly. They had 27% of the ball. They had 0 shots on target because I don't think Brendan Johnson scored that goal. I think it was an own goal by Luke Shaw. But they won. And you need to get results in football. This is a results-based business. Amram talks about it being him not regretting coming in early, even though I think it's done damage to his reputation and I think it's put his tenure on the clock, on a timer. He needs to succeed immediately, but he says that it's a positive. What I will say is that he's in the best position ever that a Manchester United manager has been in terms of implementing what he wants to implement. He's allowed to get all of the players out that he wants under Jim Ratcliffe, and he's going to have loads of money to bring players in. The lure of Manchester United, I think, overrides the fact we're not in European football. I think that will be seen as a temporary thing for one season. So we'll still be a draw. And most significantly, we are playing 1 game per week. That is all. We are playing 1 game per week. So for me, all the pressure is on this manager to get this right. Whilst he has the advantages to prepare, he has 6 full days now to prepare for every single game because we're not in Europe. There are no excuses. So whilst he benefits from Man United not being in Europe, he will certainly benefit from that. He is now able to implement his style, and the players will be ready to play every single week and know exactly what they're doing, what the tactics are, what the patterns of play are. They'll be able to prepare for one singular opponent. There are no excuses. You're in a wonderful position to get your style of play across, to get your tactics across. All this shit that you're married to, you're going to get the players out that you don't want. You're going to bring in the players that you do want to play it. And you're going to get 6 fucking days a week to prepare for each individual game. You better deliver. Because no manager has ever been in this position where they finished where you finished in the league, and you're going to get time, and you're going to get money, and you're going to get backed with your players, and you're going to get out the players that you don't want, and you're going to get 6 fucking days to prepare for every single game without any European distractions. You better deliver with all of those benefits that you're going to get. So let's move on to looking at the Aston Villa game to close out the show. I cannot look past Aston Villa winning this game. They need to. And maybe the only reason they don't is because of that pressure on them. Man United, they will be playing for pride. We're going to see a massively strong Manchester United lineup here. But will they be able to cope with the crowd being on their back early? Because even though it's not the Manchester United way to get on the players' backs, I think they've reached a point where they're sick and tired of this ownership already. Ultimately, it's still the Glazers that own the club, but I think they're sick and tired of these players. It's not acceptable to be where we are, and things can get very toxic very quick. I'm hearing they're going to get toxic as soon as the players walk into the stadium. I spoke about this over on my show on VSiN, my segment on VSiN, where I said that there are plans for Manchester United's hardcore fans, the hooligans, as you guys may know them, to take over the barricades when the players walk in. These are usually occupied by children who get there early. They're usually occupied by our Oriental fan base who love getting these autographs and selfies. I know that they sell them. I know that they send them back to China and they sell them for massive money. I know that's why they're really there, but they are still there. But the thing that I'm hearing is that they are going to be moved, that the Ultras are going to try and take those spots so that they can let a lot of these players know what they think about them before kickoff. How is that going to play into the players' minds? And also, if you can't get up for a cup final, what pride are you going to show here at Old Trafford for your final game of the season? These are the same players who laid an egg after qualifying for the Europa League final. They laid a massive egg against West Ham, and West Ham are a side who I think have been on the beach for a long time. They're definitely looking ahead to next season. Aston Villa have something to play for. They have European football to play for. And you'll never see Aston Villa, I don't think, come to Old Trafford again as a 7-10 favourite on the money line. But it's difficult not to take them at that price to win this game. If you're looking to improve your price, you can take Aston Villa to win to 0. And that takes you up to a whopping 3-1 plus 300. Now, Villa have improved defensively as of late. They've won 4 of the last 5 away matches without conceding. They've improved their away form. This has been a side who were very different home and away, and that has been their problem and why they've not automatically qualified for the Champions League. But they have a chance to come here and win. I think they could win with a clean sheet as well against a United team who now haven't won in the league in 9 matches. It's an appalling record. We haven't scored in 3 matches, and Aston Villa have won 8 of their last 9 games, whilst United, they have only beaten 2 teams in their last 14 Premier League outings, Leicester and Ipswich. That is a fucking shit show. So how do I take Man United to bounce back here when we couldn't win a Europa League final against Tottenham? Tottenham kept a clean sheet against us, and I'm pretty confident Aston Villa can. So if you're looking for that add-on, Aston Villa to win to 0 at 3-1 plus 300 is the way to go. But for me, I am going to just take Aston Villa on the money line to get it done. That's going to be your main lean here on this show. And we'll grab Villa on that money line at a price of 7-10 to end Manchester United's miserable shit show of a season with yet another loss. So that's it for Bet MUFC. That's it for the season. We'll talk about Manchester United on our EPL show season recap. No need to do another episode of Bet MUFC. There will be some episodes between now and the start of next season. So before we do our season preview, if there are developments at Man United, such as signings, or we do sack this manager out of nowhere, I will be doing, let's call them emergency episodes of Bet MUFC. I don't think this has been really an extensive recap of the season. It has been more of a recap of the Europa League and more of a what do we do now? Where do we go from here kind of show. But what do you want me to recap? We didn't do anything. Look at where we are in the league. We sacked Erik ten Hag. We won the FA Cup. We backed him in the transfer market. And then we only gave him until October to have time with his players that he was backed with, even though there were some good performances in that time. Am I saying it's wrong to sack Ten Hag? No, but it probably was wrong to bring in this manager. If he didn't want the job, I probably would have stuck with Ruud van Nistelrooy. It hasn't worked out for Ruud. It hasn't worked out for Man United, and it certainly hasn't worked out for Ruben Amorim coming to this club and managing us for this 6-month period. I think his biggest failings was not changing to suit the players that we had, especially when it came down to cups. The FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Europa League Final, we should have made changes to win those games. Instead, we stuck with the system. We had time to try this system in the Premier League and get used to it. But cups are cups, and this club needs to win. And it's not acceptable that we let so many games by, and we prioritised system and philosophy over actually winning games. And that's not the Manchester United way. That is not the Manchester United DNA. It's unacceptable, the number of games that we've lost, knowing that we were going to lose these games, putting players in the wrong positions, sticking with this system at the expense of losing games at Old Trafford in front of 75,000 ticket buyers. And if you know how ridiculous it is to get a ticket to Manchester United, you'll know how absolutely unacceptable that was. Quite often, you'd have had people playing way, way over the odds coming from all places in the world to watch this Manchester United team, and Ruben Amorim allowed us to lose games. And as I said, I'll give you the pass in the league, but when you took over, you were in all of the cup competitions, and here we are at the end of the season, and Manchester United have absolutely fuck all to show for 2024-2025. That's it for me. Good luck with all of your bets as always, guys, and thanks for listening.